procedures. There's nothing we can see.
Yeah.
He's like, what do I put?
It's on a crawl space.
I'm like, here, I kind of filled it out for him and said, here's so it's probably fine. If you want to change something here, go ahead. He's like, please, thank you, because I don't know what to do. He's like, I don't know any fraud, so whatever they want. I think Amy actually called. You called the auditor. You called the one auditor, didn't you? Yeah, and that's fine too. Yeah.
145.
That's fine. I told Paul, because I'm still going to get Paul's. He's going to call her tomorrow. Yeah.
This particular house, 864 square foot with a crawl space. 145. Two doors down, like the same house. Single bath with full basement.
Hopefully you don't have any
And a
more.
single car garage. This looks like a garage.
All right, we will call to order the Ravenna City Council meeting for Monday, June 5th at 6 p.m. The first item on the agenda tonight is a moment of meditation and silence. And would you please all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chelsea, would you call the roll?
Mr. Kelpie?
Here.
Ms. West? Here. Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Here.
Mr. Karras?
Here.
Ms. Wood?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
All right, and Mayor and Chief, I can turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is a nice crowd. One of the reasons we have given these is an opportunity for council members to meet new people coming off to the staff. We're very proud of our city forces, from the police and fire. You folks, some of you have been here with us before, or are here. Another change of jobs, in one case. Another full-time person is coming on. We're very pleased with the applications from these gentlemen. The job, I can't stress how much their job is important. They are constantly out and the public gets to see them regularly, performing their duty, and I get a lot of feedback from the public about great things that the fire department has done and the police department has done, especially around showing some humanity in dealing with people. And these gentlemen are here today to fit that bill. So, we come forward. Chief, did you want to say anything?
No, public talk.
Steve. You raise your right hand and then repeat after me. I, Steve Blyden,
I, Steve Lynn,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Ravenna,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Ravenna,
abide by the rules and regulations of the Ravenna City Police Department,
abide by the rules and regulations of the City of Ravenna Police Department,
and that I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of full-time patrolman
of full-time patrolman
for the City of Ravenna,
for the City of Ravenna,
State of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my tenure in said capacity.
during my tenure in said capacity.
Congratulations. All right, Mr. Lyons.
Constitution of the State of Ohio,
the laws and ordinances of the city of Ravenna,
the laws and ordinances of the City of Ravenna,
abide by the rules and regulations
abide by the rules and regulations
of the Ravenna City Police Department,
of the Ravenna City Police Department.
and I will faithfully,
I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially
honestly, and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of part-time patrolman
of part-time patrolman
for the city of Ravenna,
for the City of Ravenna,
state of Ohio,
State of Ohio,
during my tenure in said capacity.
during my tenure in said capacity.
Congratulations.
There you go. He's excited for you. That was pretty good. Good timing.
Okay, Chief.
So I apologize if I'm talking with my back to you, but, sorry. So I'd like to thank everyone tonight who took time out of the busy schedule to be here, especially the family members. Those of us in law enforcement know that no successful law enforcement career can be successful without the support of their family. The hours, the odd shifts, the missed holidays, the missed birthdays, and everything that goes with the job can add a lot of stress, but with the support of family, it helps. So your presence here tonight is much appreciated. So during the hiring process, the Ravenna Police Department looks to hire not only the most qualified candidate, but the candidate that possesses the ability or possesses the mindset of the guardians, not warriors, when approaching public safety. Being a police officer, in any time in history has been difficult, but especially so much now with everything that's going on. So we not only require officers to be law enforcement experts, but also have skills in psychology and be almost like a lawyer, and also be a great public organizer. So during the background checks of Alex and Steve, we found that they both possess desirable candidates to be police officers, and with continued growth, they'll fit in with our mission to Ravenna Police Department to make Ravenna a safe place to live, work, and visit. So I'm excited to have them on our team, and I'd like for them to come up. Congratulations, Steve.
Thank you, Chief.
Alex.
Thank you.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. So we're gonna take 5 minutes?
Yeah.
5 minutes or so we're gonna get some pictures. Get a picture of these guys and then look at Mary and look more.
Don't blur me out.
All right, if the families wanna come up, start taking some pictures. Everyone come up?
If you wish. I know you're gonna go move it.
retired, so we'll be back at full staff. Alex is gonna be part-time, and he's just switching part-time roles. He was our part-time dispatcher, and now he's gonna be a patrolman, part-time patrolman. So, again, the support of you guys has been great to be able to maintain our staffing and to, to allow us the opportunity to get the people we need to get, so I appreciate it.
Was Steve at a different location?
Yeah, so Steve has 7 years of law enforcement experience. He was at Newton Falls and then Lordstown PD. So.
Oh, he probably pulled me over a couple of times. That's why I recognize him.
Is that how you remember?
Lead foot over there.
I'm kidding.
I believe you.
No. No, my husband was in New Falls for a little bit.
I'll check with that.
So it's good hiring, not, hiring instead of like laying off.
Yeah.
That's a positive.
So the scary thing is, I just talked to a couple of my buddies at Kent PD, and they had a sergeant with 12 years of experience who just came in one night and quit.
Huh.
I heard about that today.
They have guys, and it's not unusual for guys just to retire after 25 years. I mean, it's not, but a lot of their guys historically are leaving at 25. There's a guy that I know, he's having carpal tunnel surgery like in the next couple days, and then after 4 weeks, he's leaving. He's retiring. So, kind of put in perspective, we are, knock on wood, doing a lot better than other places, especially, I mean, overall, citywide, as far as hiring and retaining employees. So, that's part of the thing I want to thank you, like, when we went through the contracts, and we were kind of building this to maintain our staffing and to attract other staffing, that's kind of what this does for us, because it keeps us from having to go into the whole employment search. And I mean, we've looked for employees, but we're able to get employees, and we're keeping the ones we got. One of the kids who works for us is from Talmadge and had applied for them, or applied at Talmadge, and ended up not taking the job because the only reason he was going to take the job was 12-hour shifts. So the pay and stuff, we paid more, but he decided not to go because just he liked working here. So and the pay. So that goes a long way. So again, I appreciate the support from you guys, and it goes a long way.
Thank you.
All right. Ready to reconvene? All right, the next item on the agenda tonight is the approval of meeting minutes from the regular city council meeting of May 1st. Were there any additions or corrections to those? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is communications and notice of bankruptcy court hearing from the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. I don't have any more information on it, just the piece of paper that we received. So if the law director comes in, then we can ask him for more information on that. With that, unless, Mayor, you have anything on it?
He said we didn't need to do anything with that.
Right.
It was not necessary. I looked through the whole thing to find out what they were talking about, and never found it.
That's why I looked at, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it related to the opioid situation?
I mean, I frequently get these a lot of times I'll turn these over to Rita and stuff,
Right.
just so they're aware of them, and they can, if there are any collections they can do on them, they will pursue those.
Yep.
I'm not sure about this particular one, what it's about or anything, but
So,
other than that, I don't really do a whole lot with these.
all right. Well, with the communications then, that was the only communication. We'll move on to delegations from the public. If anyone tonight would like to speak to council.
Is Ryan not coming?
Ryan was a late minute scratch until July, I believe. When it was when she's
August.
August? Okay, yeah. Thanks. No delegations from the public this evening? We'll move on to report of officials, which council should all have in their packet. Were there any questions regarding those? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Committee meetings will begin next week, June 12th, beginning with utilities. Mr. Moskin?
At this time, there will be nothing on the agenda.
All right. And information systems, Ms. West?
To be determined.
Planning, Mr. Karas?
We have one item on the agenda tonight, and we will have a meeting next week.
All right. And Committee of the Whole will be on Monday, June 20th at 6 p.m. Public Health and Safety, Ms. Michael?
We have several items on tonight's agenda. It is possible we could have some items on next month's agenda.
Okay. And a correction, quick correction, that should be Tuesday, June 20th. Apologize. Streets and sidewalks, Mr. Harper?
One item for consideration this evening and to be determined.
All right. Personnel, Mr. Calfee?
No committee meeting for personnel.
All right. And Community and Economic Development, Ms. Wood?
To be determined.
All right. Any updates on the cemetery?
Well, right now, the finances, thankfully, they are very good. There is a part-time individual that was just hired recently, and he will be there until, more than likely, until the leaves are cleaned up in the fall. And then sometime this week, if everything goes well, we'll be getting a bid for the grinding and for the asphalt. And
Also,
Mr.
like to,
No, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the city for sending some of the street department crew out before Memorial Day to help with the trimming. That goes a long way. They get a lot accomplished in a short time, so thank you for sending them out again.
I thought the Memorial Day Parade Resurrection was a success.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful day up there, and they kept to what the theme was. I was quite impressed with it, and I thank the American Legion for taking this on again, and I look forward to grow.
Yeah. All right. Any updates from Parks?
A couple items want to mention tonight. As many of you know, the high school had a day of service back in May, and you might have seen them around in the city. They were working in lots of different places, and a large group of them helped Parks and Rec by cleaning up along the bike and hike trail, and had a large group there, did a great job cleaning up, and we appreciate that. And also in the way of cleanup, about the same time, if you've been out at Havers Woods and the trail through the woods, some folks have dumped some things along the woods there, metal, old fencing, bunch of stuff like that over the years. And we had someone clean that up. We took out 500 pounds of steel and metal junk from along the trail around in the park. And so it was a good cleanup, and so we appreciate that work that was done there.
Nice. That's usually where we walk the dogs, so I see that.
You familiar with
Yes.
what it was? Yeah.
Bike racks and everything that was
Bike
laying out
rack there, fencing, bunch of junk.
Yep. And softball's ending. They have a game right now, so after, if the meeting doesn't go too long, I'm going to end up at Havers Woods back there, so. All right. Well, with that, then, we'll move on to first reading of ordinances, beginning with ordinance number 2023-70.
An ordinance accepting a donation to the Ravenna Police Department in the sum of $200 from Edward C. Seegers, recording estimated revenues in the sum of $200, and appropriating the sum of $200 in the police department and declaring an emergency.
All right. Sponsored by Public Health and Safety, Ms. Michael.
Yes, this is just another generous donation from a resident, and there's no match required. We're just accepting this donation, and we are very thankful on this donation amount.
All right. Any comments or questions from council? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelpie?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-71.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for the 2023-2024 school year for the school resource officer and declaring an emergency.
And this says committee of the whole, but I think this could go to either public health and safety or, yeah.
This, we talked about, this is going into a contract with the school for their resource officer. So nothing different, it's just the standard contract that we have with this school, so police officer.
Any questions from council on this item? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And then a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-72.
An ordinance authorizing the reduction of appropriations in the 553 capital fund in the sum of $350,000 and in the 101 fund in the sum of $150,000 and declaring an emergency.
And this is also public health and safety. Ms. Michael?
And this is taking off the budget because we're not getting the fire truck right now. So this is just a change.
Any questions from council on this? All right. Do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move. Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-73.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 16, Fire Prevention Code, Title II, Adopted Standards, Chapter 1610, Ohio Fire Codes, Section 1610.101, 2017 edition adopted, and its appendixes, and declaring an emergency.
All right, and this is sponsored by Public Health and Safety.
I'm going to
Chapel is this, Chief, I should say.
So, every so many years, the fire codes get updated. Ours haven't been updated in quite some time. So all we're asking is to update the current version of the Ohio Fire Codes and their appendixes to meet what needs to be at this time.
Okay.
Pretty
Yep. Any questions from council?
This is the one that we found out that the National Fire Code was no longer a thing. Okay, it's gone.
So the
Okay.
national fire codes changed to the international fire codes, and then the international fire codes are adopted by the Ohio Fire Codes. They're in the
Incorporated with it.
So by adopting the Ohio Fire Codes, you're adopting everything in its entirety. And that's the next one. That's why we're asking to.
Yeah.
All right. Any additional questions from council on this item? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So move.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted, and along with that one, we have ordinance number 2023-74.
An ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 16, Fire Prevention Code, Title II, Adopted Standards, by repealing Chapter 1620, National Fire Codes, and declaring an emergency.
This is also public health and safety. Ms. Michael?
This is just that the National Fire Code does not exist, so it's just a change in how it's written currently.
Any additional questions from council on this? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved. Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-75.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept an easement agreement with Firm Foundation Ministries and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Harper?
Yes, this will be, allow the sidewalk to be moved back approximately, 5 feet to allow for additional parking in that area. And that change will happen during the water line project next year.
Any questions from council on this? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And a motion to
Emergency.
adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael? Oh, sorry. Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-76.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign easement agreements with Chestnut Commerce Center, LG Chem America, and Ravenna Loomis Parkway, and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moss?
Yes, the easements for the sanitary sewer and the stormwater sewer to be installed there and taken care of so that hookups can be made for, at the present time, and any further businesses that will come into that area.
All right. Any questions from council on this? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. Moving on to ordinance number 2023-77.
An ordinance to reappropriate $205,930 for the city's portion of the Pratt Street Improvement Project and declaring an emergency.
All right, and this is sponsored by Utilities also. Mr. Moskin.
Yeah. Yes, for the improvements on Pratt Street, they've gone in different phases in that street for the length of it.
which would be the water project. There, yeah, I'll just stop at the water project because that's all that's included here. So they replaced the water service, hydrants, and also the curb boxes along that way.
Any questions from council on this item? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second,
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved?
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Cares?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-78.
An ordinance appropriating the sum of $3,516.79 from the General Fund 101 for a moral claim to cover the cost of damages caused by a sanitary line backup at 225 Lincoln Avenue and declaring an emergency.
All right, this is sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moskin?
This cost is to cover the residents' cost of ServPro, the company that they had to come in and to clean up their basement from raw sewage that are backed up within the basement themselves. And this isn't to cover any cost of their own possessions that were in the basement at this time. So this actually happened at this address only, and it was backed up when the street department came in to run the sewer. Then it ended up backing up into 225 Lincoln's basement.
Any questions from council on this item? Thanks, Paul.
You're welcome.
So I'm still struggling with this. And I have one basic question. I don't know if it's going to help me decide or not. But, so as I understand it, at one property, was it 229?
No, 220. Oh,
249.
Excuse me.
They reported the blockage. Our crews went out and they cleared the blockage, and then there was a backup in 225 Lincoln. So my simple question is, and by the way, we submitted this information to our insurance company, which denied the claim, saying we weren't responsible. So when the crew went out, what did they do that they shouldn't have done that would have prevented this from backing up into 225 Lincoln? Or conversely, what should they have done that they didn't do that would have prevented that from happening? And I'm not trying to point fingers at people or say anybody did anything wrong, but I'm just trying to figure out what the liability is. Because I read through the reports and everything, and it really, I don't understand what the workers do. God forbid you send me out there to fix it. Everyone's basements would be flooded. So I'm struggling with this to see whether, and if it wasn't for the insurance company denying the claim, you know, I'd probably be a lot more sympathetic. Because that's what we have insurance for, right? It seems like every time we use our insurance, we're told it doesn't cover whatever we, so, is there an answer to that question? Like, what did we do wrong in this case?
I don't think we did anything wrong.
So that's where I'm struggling. If we didn't do anything wrong, should we be paying the claim?
Well, the reason I can completely answer what the service, agree with what she had just mentioned, only because many years ago I've been involved in these types of jobs, and when you run these sewers, you don't know when you start and when you finish if something like this will happen. The reason I'm saying this, you're out there, you know exactly what you're doing, and I believe I don't need to explain it graphically what goes on, but you don't know that. The only way you know is after you're completely finished, if someone does call, because at times, the amount of pressure that you have to use when you're doing this, sometimes you have to use a lot more pressure than other times. That's just a variable thing. The only way that you have to crank up the pressure sometimes, depending if something isn't getting unplugged. So there's no answer to say they did something wrong when it was done right, and you never know how bad something is until it's over.
So I guess my question is, Kay, you wouldn't have brought it to us
Right.
to have the possibility to pay for if you didn't feel that it should be paid for, that we were, you know, in some way liable for this, correct?
I feel that I brought, because I met with the residents 2 different times. They came in my office. I told them our moral claim policy.
Right.
So I'm basically bringing this to you guys on behalf of the resident. I told them, I said I'll bring it to council, but it's ultimately their decision
Okay.
to stay with the 1,000 or 3,500, which they're requesting.
But in the last meeting, you did say that it was the city's fault that this happened?
I don't think it was the city's fault. They were just out there, like Paul said, you don't know what you're gonna run into until you actually do something.
Okay.
It seems like the city went out, they had to use excessive water pressure to clear the blockage, and with the amount of water and the pressure, it sounds like it just pushed it back up one of the laterals into a home. Unfortunately, I don't think they can stop that when they're clearing the excuse me, when they're trying to clear the lines. It's just the pressure and the water, it's just a combination of both, and it's got to go somewhere, and unfortunately, it went up their lateral into their basement.
Sometimes you have to run that a second time when you're there.
Well, I think they did, according to the report.
So is there, what's the moral claim maximum amount? Remind me again.
1,000.
1,000. Is there a motion to amend this, leave it as it, not take any action and leave it as a, we've discussed this, I think, what I'm getting at, we've discussed this ad nauseum, I think, and what, I had the same assumption that you did, Ms. Michael. When it comes to us, there's an assumption that we're voting on what's in front of us or not. So voting this down or not taking any action, then it is the $1,000 moral claim that then the service director can decide. So I don't know if there's any debate about amending the number in front of us, I guess is what I'm getting at, or if it is just leaving it to the service director's discretion.
I'm inclined to leave it to the moral claim policy that currently stands in place.
I think too, with the times, the cost of things have changed since that moral claim amount was put into place. And we may need to take a look at that amount, because these services to get this type of stuff done, the expense has gone up over the years, and we haven't adjusted our claim amount to deal with that.
And it would be
rise in costs. So.
And actually, Paul and I, we've discussed that, you know, bringing it to council to up the moral claim dollar amount. Just as you said, you know, the rising cost of materials and everything else.
I guess my question is, because the last 2 meetings, it was, I don't know if anyone else can remember these meetings, but it was always said that it was the city's liability, that we should pay for it. So did I miss something in any of these meetings, or was that not stated, that this was something that, you know, because we caused this, that we should pay for this, or no? Was that not ever said?
I don't know that there was ever a clear answer of yes or no.
I mean, I've been up.
I just want to make sure that
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, because I swear I thought that was what was said before, and that was what the big kind of discussion was, is, you know, why, you know, we should pay that amount, because, you know, the city was liable for doing this, so.
And I think it comes down to the city. They went out and did their job like they always do, and this happened.
So,
They didn't intentionally go out
No,
there.
I understand that. No one
Yeah.
intentionally does stuff, but it can happen. So
Was
that's-
there, based on what you and Mr. Moskin had spoken about, was there a amount for the moral claim that if you were to suggest to council, and again, I'm posing the question to council, of amending this number to reflect that?
I was, well, we hadn't really discussed the dollar amount, but I was kind of thinking maybe take it up to like 3,000. Or, I don't know. I guess I just didn't think about it that much, what would be a good dollar amount, but I think it definitely needs to be higher than 1,000.
are we able to wait on this until they have the discussion about the moral claim
Do
clause?
you see what I'm saying, though? I mean, what's in front of us is the 3,500. I don't want to get in the debate with the
No.
audience at this point. As it's come to us, Lou, you've been here at every single meeting, and this has been discussed twice now.
Right.
So you could have gotten up at both of those meetings.
Tonight I have a good question.
Go for it. Let's go.
Where was the blockage at?
See, the details, that's not our forte. So Kay, that's on you. Take that one.
There was a blockage between the house and the city, in the street, or in the street source.
I think it was in the
That's never
street.
been said here.
It's in the report, I believe it's in the
It was
street.
in the main.
Yeah,
It was in the main.
yeah, it was,
Yes.
I can't remember which,
The main line in the street, I
Yes.
believe.
Okay.
No, you're
I'm
correct.
gonna make the ordinance in front of us. Unless somebody wants to make an emotion to approve it, I'm not. I think we should stick with the moral clause. If the insurance company says we're not liable, our current policy is $1,000, and I'm more than happy to let the service director make that decision. I'm not comfortable with making a decision where we did our jobs, our city service department did what they were supposed to do, and even our own insurance company said that we're not liable. I'm willing to let the service director make the decision under our current policies, and if we need to revisit the policy moving forward, then we can do that.
Well, what about tabling this item until, because then it would be on for the July meeting, and we could discuss it at committee if that were to, we could always amend this at the July meeting to reflect whatever the discussion comes out to that moral claim then.
well, I don't know if the word tabling is correct, but
Not
we could just
tabling,
leave
put
it.
leave it for second reading.
Yeah,
You're right.
if there's no motion to waive the 3 readings, then we can just leave it on the agenda.
Yes.
But it sounds like you don't want to, I'm not sure you want to do that.
Not at this point. I would rather discuss the policy and adjust the policy. But as the ordinance is written, I don't feel like we have a $3,500 responsibility if our own insurance company is saying we're not liable and our service department went out and did the job as they were supposed to do. There was no error. There was no negligence. There was no liability on the city's part. I just don't feel like it's something that I'm ready to vote for.
But I think we have the moral claim because accidents do happen. It wasn't anybody's fault. It was a complete accident. That's why we have the moral claim. I think the amount needs to be discussed, and if we need to do that before we vote on this, then let's
And that's where I'm getting at. I think that
keep
would be
it on for second reading.
I mean, I could bring a tracking sheet to the July committees as far as the moral claim dollar amount.
Thank you.
So we'll leave, everybody all right with that, leaving it here? Okay. So the next item on the agenda then is ordinance number 2023-79.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for the Wildlife Step Outside Education Grant in the sum of $500 through the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the Parks and Recreation Department, and to accept the grant if awarded and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Planning, Mr. Karas?
Yeah, we've been awarded this grant. We had a program in April, I believe, involving our archery program through the Parks and Recs Department. So this is the same Ohio Department of Natural Resources grant that is up to $500. There's no matching money or anything. And it's for arrows, targets, and so forth. The program this time around will be in October. It'll be in Kent, in Fred Fuller Park. And the reason they're doing that is there are various parks and recs groups in the counties are kind of sharing responsibilities. Ravenna's the only department or program that has an archery program, and so we're asking for $500 through this grant. Our contribution will be $351. So hopefully, if we get the grant, we'll put on the program in October in Kent.
Any questions from council? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin? Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Then do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin? Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then do we have a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin? Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-80.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to accept and appropriate the PY 2022 Residential Public Infrastructure Grant, RPIG, for the water tank project and declaring an emergency.
Which also stands for pay year, right? If I remember
Yes.
correctly. So sponsored by Community and Economic Development, Ms. Wood.
Yes, the Residential Public Infrastructure Grant was awarded in the amount of $750,000 to go towards the $2.5+ million water tower. And this is the grant, and wonderful, wonderful that we received it.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Finney and NTS.
Any questions from council on this item? Again, congrats to the engineering department getting this. So, with that, is there a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-81.
An ordinance appropriating the sum of $17,443.72 from the General Fund 101 for the purchase of 2 servers, one to be located at the police department and one to be located at the recreation department, and declaring an emergency.
This is sponsored by Information Systems, Ms. West.
All right, so this is to replace 2 servers that their warranties are expired. We did explore briefly, possibly exploring cloud-based services, but for right now, we feel moving forward with the server piece makes the most sense for us. Brian, do you have anything to add on that?
No, just like you said, I have talked to Nick Cecil again, who I was kind of relying on the cloud-based. Based on the fact that we don't have an IT person on staff, it's really kind of a push to try to do a cloud-based system at this time. You really need to have someone on staff to be able to maintain that if problems occur. So I think it's a much cheaper and better option for us, I think, at this point.
And it's needed
on these
right now.
servers. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something, if we ever did have an IT person on staff, we could maybe look at again.
All right, any questions from council? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2023-82. The MOU
Oh.
with the commissioners.
Oh, sorry. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign a memorandum of understanding between the City of Ravenna, Ohio, and the Portage County Commissioners to perform building inspections for the City of Ravenna and declaring an emergency.
And this is sponsored by Utilities Committee. Mr. Moskin?
Okay.
Want to ask
Yes.
Mr. Finney to?
Yes. I'll ask Mr. Finney for more details.
It was a quick moving one, so I know that
Yeah.
you getting the turnaround.
Fortunately, everybody cooperated, and from a time frame, we were able to get the memorandum of understanding signed by all parties.
Yep.
We believe we're on board. They have done a few inspections for us.
Okay.
Communicating is another, I won't say an issue, but it's an obstacle that we have to iron out.
Communicating in what way?
How we send our inspection requests to the county. Inspection-wise, it's a state code, so that doesn't change. It's how Tiffany communicates with their permit clerks to get those inspections to the inspectors.
Which are required to be done in a timely manner. We've
Within
done
4
that.
days.
4 days.
Yeah. And we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. With a little, I won't say rough edges, but we've got some ironing out to do, but we'll get there. I'm optimistic.
All right. Is there any other questions from council on this item? Hearing none, do we have a motion to waive the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And do we have a motion to adopt the emergency clause?
So move.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And then do we have a motion to pass the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West? Ms. West?
Yes. Sorry.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that ordinance is adopted. The next item on the agenda, we had 2 of 3 signatures to make, to read the agenda item on for tonight. So what I would like to ask council is a motion to strike from the agenda this evening ordinance number 2023-83.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Yep.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
All right. We have nothing on for second or third reading of ordinances tonight, and we will need an executive session, right, this evening. Is there any old or new business to come before council tonight? Well, with that, I think there's a lot of things going on this summer that I'm looking forward to. Main Street, chamber events, all the parks and rec. I know Reed Fest just happened at the library, or at the city park. So a lot of positive things happening throughout the year. Mayor, I look forward to continuing the work, comprehensive plan, 218 West Main Street, all those things. Balloon Affair coming up, Ravenna Rocks. So all those things that we want to keep positive in the city. Look forward to continuing to work together. The Water Tower project, Bob, LG. I saw Boston Group was in the Portager today. So a lot of positive things happening in the city. So look forward to keeping in contact, working forward with you throughout the summer on those things. But that was really it for me on council remarks. Mr. Harper, do you have anything this?
Nothing additional.
Okay. Miss Michael?
I just wanted to say I'm, again, thankful that Conrad's came in so good after the email from Kay. Excited that we have a nice local business that always comes through and gives us good cost.
Mr. Karras?
Art on Main, Saturday.
Saturday.
11 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And then the 17th is the Ravenna Rocks.
Is that the first
Mhm.
installment?
And the Juneteenth,
Juneteenth,
yeah.
yeah.
And there's something else in the morning from 9 to 11 that's slipping my mind right now. I'll think of it later, but.
Runway Fest.
Runway Fest is the same day. There's also, it's gonna bother me now.
There's a chalk thing on Saturday.
The Chamber Awards are Wednesday, are they this?
Oh, yeah.
The Wednesday?
Raven Award.
That is a good call out.
Raven Awards, yes.
Yep. Yep, sorry. Mr. Moskin. I'll throw it.
Yes.
I was gonna try and find it, but.
Went to the park for that Reed Fest, and I believe it was quite positive. There were some very good informative things there. And I'll leave it at that for that. And then at the gym in town, they're called Rep 24 now. They went through a lot of renovations there. Just wanted to mention that as a business that did a lot of renovating recently.
And formerly called.
Patriot Fitness.
Yeah. So down below Subway.
Oh.
Mr. Calfee?
No additional comments, thank you.
Ms. West?
No comments.
Ms. Wood?
I just want to back up on Paul's, about Rep 24, that was previously Patriot Fitness and Anytime Fitness. And if any of you have ever been in there, it is an amazing transformation. And the current owner has worked really, really hard to not only keep this business in Ravenna. The previous owner had passed away shortly after the purchase was complete a few years ago. But the current owner has worked very diligently and hard in order to keep the business here and keep it going. And it is a beautiful facility. Membership, you get a key fob, it's 24/7. There's cameras throughout the building. So it is very safe. As a female who has gone there for many years, it's very safe. And they do have drop-in days, times, things like that if you want to check it out. Or if you get a hold of me, I'll get you in there to see it, because it's a beautiful facility, and we're very lucky to have them here in the city.
Thanks. Mayor, turn it over to you.
Well, I can't help but mention the fact that we have one person missing here tonight. That's John McFarland, who passed away. He's been a regular participant in the goings-on in the city and had an interest in it. And he will be missed. Let me see. Amy Wilson, who is our new superintendent of the water department, started this week, last week, I guess it was. And we kind of bombarded her very quickly, in that her budget needs to be in 3 days after we told her about it.
It was the first email she received.
Yeah. But she was already on top of some things that were brought to her attention, or she discovered in the brief time that she was there. But all indications are she should be very successful there, and she seems very well accepted by the staff at that place. I don't see anything else other than, if you want to talk to me over the next 2 weeks, starting from Saturday, call my cell. Okay, I'll be on vacation in the Carolinas.
Yep. All right. Well, that's everything on the agenda. We do have a request to go into executive session. Give a brief, the reason, just pending legal action?
Well, yes, it is a pending case that we're involved with the township.
Okay. And there will be no further items to discuss when we come out. So we'll take-
I'd like to move to go to an executive session to discuss an impending legal matter.
Second.
Mr. Karas?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfie?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.